Black Onyx Cave is the debut full-length album from Chapel of Samhain. This is a Portuguese death metal band, and one that has sort of a blackened death metal affect to it. And I would say early combinations of black death metal, which are more focused on the riff and a cavernous approach to that. So there's sort of the incantation-esque dirge of an early Demoncy record, however you'd parse that timeline. But there's definitely a dark aggression to this, and it makes sense because it comes from folks who have a lot of involvement in groups like Velorio, Grog, and Nethermancy, which covers a lot from death grind to black metal to death metal in general. So this is definitely a morbid old school death metal record. It has that blackened affect to it, and up front it's not quite bestial death metal, but it does have that gritty, horrified feeling to it that you'd want from that style. So we'll cut into a track here just to get right into it. So for this record, they've infused it with keyboard. So early Asheron certainly applies here because it is in that classic style. But as we move on through the record, that early black death metal feeling that you'd get from the first two Samael records, especially the first one, early Asphyx also applies here. There's a kind of a classic run through a lot of these mid-paced and kind of barreling fast songs, which pieces together in a way which is foreboding, aggressive, and packs a lot into 33 minutes. I think for a debut, they do well to not exhaust the ear. They know when to cut it off, and you kind of get the point by the time that they're done. I think the value of a record like this is when you revisit it and you kind of see the experience for its sort of broader picture and start to see how they've designed it so carefully to the point where it does feel like a descent in. It does feel like they've made sure every song is a bit different. The whole experience runs in a certain order, in a certain way. I feel like this wasn't just a garage death metal record that was banged out for fun. I feel like they really put a lot of thought into it and a lot of feeling into it. I think that's a hard thing to do, especially when you're working with a primal shade of death metal where tradition can kind of take over the muscle memory. And so I feel like they added their own feeling to this record that made it's more than a riff record. It's kind of atmospheric in a strong way, but there's a kind of a personality behind it that I already want to see more of. I appreciated this record to a great degree. There's not that much to say about it. It's just a strong kind of aggressive death metal record. The only thing is that I think the album art it doesn't quite communicate the style of the band all that clearly. It does make sense in the long run. So I think the lasting value of the record will depend on how much I sit with it in the future and whether or not I want to pick it up based on the album artwork or whatever. So otherwise, pretty solid death metal record. Kind of a surprise, just hearing how well it all works out and how buttoned up all of it is in terms of the full listening experience. So certainly something I would recommend, and that does get a high recommendation for me. It is one of the better records from March, and it released this March 18th, so you can check out the full thing now. I've got a Bandcamp link right here on the review, and you can read the review while you listen to it.